built like that. You niggas ain't, you niggas ain't, you niggas ain't built like that.
So
you was never on the block, you ain't never dodged a knock. You ain't never fought another crew holding down the park. You ain't swam with the sharks, you ain't wrestled with the gays. You was never fucking popping, you ain't got no fucking haters. Bitch, niggas like you make me watch out for the traitors. When you around some real niggas, mind your behavior. I will beat a nigga ass, then I'm laughing like I'm Jada. Get your fucking mind blown like a cartridge on a Sega. You niggas want attention, they don't want the war though. Talking all that shit, but you got a glass jaw, ho. They never deliver. They got that DiGiorno. This that Walking Dead flow. I eat a rapper torso. You ain't the same man once you off the microphone. You ain't never broke a bone. You ain't never had a scar. You a certified pussy, so don't make me pull your car. I'm a certified prophet, respected like the word of God. Cause you ain't got the heart, nigga. You ain't got the heart. You ain't about to finish any beef that you start. You ain't never been a soldier, little nigga, play your part. Claiming that you spark when you ain't got the heart. Cause you niggas ain't built like that. Run around talking like a thug when you gon' bust a slug, man. Niggas get killed like that. Acting like you banned for the set when you ain't blood or colors, man. Blood gets spilled like that. Niggas saying really they the plug, but they talking to the judge, man. Get your cap peeled like that. Cause niggas get killed like that. When you ain't built like that. Run around talking like a thug when you gon' bust a slug, man. Niggas get killed like that. Acting like you banned for the set when you ain't blood or colors, man. Blood gets spilled like that. Niggas saying really they the plug, but they talking to the judge, man. Get your cap peeled like that. Cause niggas get killed like that. All my niggas ride for me. All my niggas ride with me. I got niggas that'll die for me. All my niggas ride with me. Niggas out.
Whose possesses slavery possesses the people that own us, murder us. That's what it means to slay somebody. It means to kill them without any consideration. To slay us, go ahead, and hold themselves not guilty and hold themselves not guilty like this piece of garbage.
Push the agenda, you niggas cowards and pretenders. White flag to the white man, you surrender. Just remember, wicked niggas love to hang with sinners. Shit is disgusting to think it's cool to switch genders. Babylon is falling, the one west is prevalent. Boots, lace, warbands on, we in our element. It's evident, they killing how they evident. Coward murderers, I pray the Lord send a pestilence and cause famine. Wreak havoc and cause damage. Coronavirus shook up the earth, now watch them all panic. Fighting through these curses that we live in. Prepare slaughter, complete the order when it's given. These crackers crumble, we humble their activity. For it is written that they shall go into captivity. These devils must pay for their war crimes. Sell your garments and go and get a sword when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. Come. I don't want calm when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. Come. I don't want calm when it's wartime.
Your music can be stopped by a gun. They'll call a gun to come and kill you over your music. That's the world that you live in, man.
Con, I don't want con when it's wartime. Can't be lukewarm, gotta make up your mind. If you ain't heard nothing, you better hear this rhyme. When it go down, you gon' have to be with your kind. Ain't no laughing, ain't no joking on the battlefield. If you don't follow the order, you can get us all killed. Ain't no thing to grab the block and burst and squeeze mine. You gon' learn to do it, not the second, but the first time. 223, 308, AR-15 rifle. Warring with the dragon like I'm the Archangel Michael. I got hand grenades, I pull the pin and throw it at you quicker. I can say a prayer and send them evil curses, now you sick. If we do what the Lord tell us to do, Babylon will fall. I'm gonna do what Saul didn't do, and I'm gonna kill them all. It's time to kill, not heal, it's time to break them down on who you are. Ain't no time to love, it's time to hate these heathens, time for
Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. Out of one con when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. Out of one con when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. Out of one con when it's wartime. Lace your boots when it's wartime. Go and get a sword when it's wartime. Girt your loins when it's wartime. Out of one con when it's wartime.
Even though you in the ghetto, even though you poor, even though you suffer, even though you ain't had a good education, even though you got the weight of the most powerful empire in the world on your neck, God is going to come and stop every bit of it. He's going to shut it down.
According to God, the white man is the devil.
See, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot, they like to claim these shit, they like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above what they really even have authority. But they don't really need that authority, they don't really know what to do with that leadership. Understand? Go ahead, boy, you stop it, ass shit. Give a damn what you talking about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Everybody ain't with all that peace talk, everybody ain't with all that bygone. Boy, ain't shit stopping, ain't shit prophets, about to get serious. Boy, when they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders, I'm curious. Oh, he cashed down on your blood, he traded you in and bought a new bitch. Ain't shit the prophets, I tell you the skin. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in the dreams. I say you won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed and you're on parole because of the COVID. It feel like the host in this world and done with the devil. Knowing it's golden and ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the skull never settled. See the prophets. So I'm tired of these niggas keep talking about, you know, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop and ask see the prophets. You know, like we all come together. You know what I'm saying? They say God sold up the world. God sold up the world and boy, your ass need to stop and ask you. Don't give a damn what you talking about. Don't give a fuck what you believe. You gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, y'all don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop and ask shit. Or I'm gonna step outside of the show to the fake niggas. Stay silent, I got it. Let's go, let's go. I ain't taking no loss. Ain't no tokens when we got the flow. Ain't no peace, just paper job. I'ma be loyal to the right arm. Tell them the cake in the slate. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got your baby mother on high, on high. Your baby pass through the fire. Ask you the prophets. That may be something belong to the Lord. How dare you abort? You never will fail you, bitch, I can afford. I prepare slaughter, you bring me on water. Crush your leaders weak, let them lies slip through their teeth. Ass need to stop and ask you the prophets.
That's just the reality, Christians. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings. I know your pastor lied to you every Sunday for 30 years, but that's what the church is for, lying. That's why they exist to lie the money out of your pockets.
Boy, your ass need to stop and ask you to give a damn what you talking about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga.
All right, let's clap it up. Hey, Most High in Christ. Hey, Shalom, Israel. It's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, where we've been teaching blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth about the Bible. That we are the true lost tribe, the 12 lost tribes that the Bible speaks of, man. The children that the Most High chose, man. We teach the truth of the Bible. We've been teaching the truth since 1969 under Commanding General Yohana. So tonight we're gonna be answering the question, right? Who is your family? Cause we don't know.
Right.
We have no idea who our family is. And thanks to thanks to people like the Christian Church, the organization like the Christian Church, thanks to our oppressor, thanks to people like Martin Luther King and Creflo Dollar and TD Snakes, we think that everybody is our family. They don't know who their family is. They don't know who our family is, and they are not fit to lead us. So they teach us that God loves everybody and that everybody is our family.
Right.
And what we got to realize is that is not practical. That's not practical to think that way. Because when there has to be somebody who is special to you, man. There's somebody who belongs to you and relates to you. But if everybody's special to you, then that means nobody's special. Just like if everybody's rich, then what does that mean? If everybody in this room got $1 million, or if everybody on the planet got $1 million, what does that mean? That means the value of that $1 million is going to start to decline because everybody has it. And that's how we got to start to think about ourselves, man. That's how we got to think about the lost 12 tribes, man. Right. Everybody's not your family, because if everybody's your family, then nobody's your family. And because we don't have a family that we can relate to, or because we don't know who our family is, then we think that everybody is our family. Or we start to make family out of everybody, out of our oppressor, man. The people who are rape, robbing, and murdering us, man. When the Most High chose us, let me get Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. The Most High chose us, man. He chose us to rule, but he chose a specific family to rule, and that was blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He didn't choose the so-called African. He didn't choose our oppressor, the so-called white man. He didn't choose anybody but blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to rule on this planet, man. So we have to understand that for us to keep and maintain that rulership that the Most High gave to us, we have to keep it within our family, because we have to understand that the condition that we're in right now, us, the captivity that we're in, us, having to go to our jobs and slave away, making our oppressor rich, that's because we wanted to share our rulership with our oppressor. Right. Because we thought that we wanted to love everybody. And we have to realize that that's the downfall of our people, man. We think that everybody's our family, man. We think that everybody is our family, and that's the downfall of our people. But this is what the Bible says. Go ahead and read that, Bob Kashar.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people.
Thou art a what?
Holy people.
A holy what?
People.
A what?
People.
That word people is important, man. What is people? What is a people? A people is a group of, as a matter of fact, you mind looking up, hold that and just look up the word people. I'm gonna go there with you. But that word is very crucial, because we think, when we hear the word people, our Christian minds automatically go to everybody. We just think, oh, people, that means we are special people, so everybody's special, right? That's what we automatically think. But that word people is very specific. It's very specific. It's very specific. We're gonna break that down today so that we can understand that when the Most High says that you are a special people, he's not talking about all people. Because if he was talking about all people, then who's special? If everybody's special, who's special? If everybody's chosen by the Most High, then nobody's chosen by the Most High. And then if that's the case, then how is it that our oppressor is able to step on us and oppress us and kill us and rape, rob, and murder us if everybody's special?
Right.
We're gonna break it down. We're gonna lay it down nice and flat tonight. You got that definition?
Come
on. You go ahead, run down. You go ahead and run down what you got, 2 definitions?
Yeah, I got 2.
Okay, Most High Christ. Go ahead and read what you got.
Read number 2?
You can start with 1, and I'm gonna break it all down.
All right. The definition of people. For the first definition, human beings in general are considered collectively.
Okay, so the first definition can mean just people. Like, I'm a person, the brother sitting across from me is a person, you know what I'm saying? You got all different types of people. You got, you know what I'm saying, you got white people, you got African people, but, you know what I'm saying, we're people at the end of the day. But what does that second definition say?
The second definition of people, the man, woman, and children of a particular nation.
Of a what?
Particular nation.
Of a what?
Particular nation.
So when the Bible says the Most High chose you to be a special people, he is talking about a what?
A particular nation.
He's talking about a particular nation, and that particular nation is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Right. Specifically in this context in Deuteronomy, it's talking about the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who were led out of captivity in Egypt. The Hebrews, the Israelites, the Hebrew-speaking Israelites that were led out of captivity at that time, and there were only blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. There were no Egyptians that were led out of captivity with them. There were no white people or Chinese or Japanese people with them where they were being led out of captivity. Why? Because all of those people weren't in captivity. Only the Israelites were in captivity in Egypt at that time. So at that time, when the Most High is talking to those people through Moses, he is saying, "You are a holy people to the Most High God." Go ahead, finish that definition, Baba Shasalaki.
Come, community, or ethnic group.
Right. So that's talking about that's talking about a specific nation, community, or ethnic group. And this Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6 is talking about a specific nation of people, the people that the Most High loved so much that he destroyed the Egyptians who came against them. So, Baba Kasha, go ahead, go back to that scripture.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
Now that word holy means separate. So what Moses is telling the people, the Israelites, is that you are a set apart people. You are a separate people to the Most High. He chose you to be separate. Go ahead, read on.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people.
Right.
Unto him. It's like unto himself.
Right.
Above all people.
Nah, equal to.
Above all people.
Nah, all people are special.
Above all people.
Nah, everybody's equal. We need equal rights.
Above all people.
Go ahead.
That are upon the face of the earth.
You are above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man. That's what we got to realize. You and your family, you and everybody that looks like you and goes through the same things as you, and walks and talks like you, and you know what I'm saying, you're the person that, you know what I'm saying, you live in the ghettos with, and in the barrios, and in the gutter with, that is your family. And that is the family that the Most High chose to be a special people above all people, man.
Wow.
Now, Baba Kasha, let me get Amos chapter 3 verse 1. We gotta understand. We gotta understand that this is family business. This is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? We gotta understand that. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta understand that we have something. The Most High gave us something special, and we have to protect it at all costs. Like we see what happens. We see what happens. You know, we see how terrible integration is for us, man. When we try to share our rulership with the people who are not special and are not holy, a holy people to the Most High. We see what integration did to us, man. Where direct, like, what was 40 years right after we were so-called free from captivity in America, we had thriving businesses, and we were our economic systems and our economics was better than, it was surpassing our oppressor in 40 years straight out of captivity. You know what I'm saying? While we were thriving, they were going through the Great Depression.
Right.
While during the Great Depression, we had the our sisters and brothers were becoming millionaires. You know what I'm saying? Mary McLeod Bethune. I can't remember the brother that they brought up yesterday. But we were becoming millionaires while they were going through the Great Depression and killing each other and dying from uncleanliness and plagues and famine and not, you know what I'm saying, being able to wash themselves properly. You know, we were becoming millionaires and we were thriving economically. That's why they had to come in and destroy Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's why they had to come in and destroy Rosewood during the Rosewood massacre in Florida. That's why they had to do these things, man, because we were thriving straight out of captivity, man. And that's because the Most High chose us to be a special people.
That's right.
But the thing is, we don't, once we get, like, we're such a compassionate and loving people that we just want to love everybody, man. But what we got to realize is that's never worked. It's never worked, and it's not going to work, man. It's not going to work, man. We're beating a dead horse trying to love our oppressor who will never love us, man. All they want to do is get on top of us, man, because they weren't chosen. But we were. And all they want to do is take our spot, man. They will never, you know what I'm saying? We will never be equals, man. Somebody has to be on top and somebody has to be on the bottom. And right now, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are on the bottom because we can't see that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans exclusively are family. And we need to exclusively be dealing with one another.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Making marriages with one another. And, you know what I'm saying, dealing economically with one another. You know what I'm saying? As far as much as we can. You know what I'm saying? Slack, you got that?
Amos. I got it. This is the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel.
So this is our problem right here, man. Slack, go ahead and read on.
Against the whole family, which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, verse 2, you only have I known of all the families of the earth.
Just read that again?
You only have I known of all the families of the earth.
All the what?
Families of the earth.
So out of all the families of the earth, so out of all the different families that are on this earth, the only people that the Most High has known and dealt with is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
We're the only family that he knows, man. He doesn't care about your oppressor, you know what I'm saying, and their family. He didn't choose the Africans who also oppress us. He didn't choose the Arabs who also oppress us, and the Chinese and the Japanese who set up shop in your communities and in your country and don't give a damn about you and oppress you. The Most High didn't choose him. Go ahead, read on about Kashai.
Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
Right, so the Most High only known us and dealt with us, man, because He chose us to be the ruling class of this earth, man. He chose us to be rulers, man, to govern this planet under His authority, man. He chose us.
Right.
So when we don't obey Him and we don't fall under His authority, we are going to receive punishments for that, man, because He gave us, you know what I'm saying? He chose us to be a special people above all people, but that comes with conditions, man. The Most High's love is conditional. Right. He's not going to love you while you continue to, while you continue to misrepresent Him.
Right.
He's not going to continue to love you and show you love and continue to show you mercy while you continue to misrepresent Him and do and disobey Him and do the opposite of what He is instructing you to do and commanding you to do, and trying to He's not going to continue to he's not going to just overlook our disgusting behavior, man.
Right.
He's going to punish us for our iniquities, man. And one of the biggest mistakes that we can make as a people that would piss the Most High off is for us to love another nation and give the gifts and the blessings that the Most High gave to us exclusively to another nation.
Right.
That's the biggest atrocity that we can That's one of the biggest atrocities that we could commit as a nation, man. Because once we give ourselves over, once we love another nation, man, then our heart is gonna go away from the Most High, man. Right. And it's gonna be with that other nation, man. It's like you had something.
Oh yeah, if I could, like it's so heavy what you bringing out because like you said that we gotta worry about ourselves for what we know the nation that the Most High picked.
Right.
Like, and us as a people, we don't understand that because we too worry about if all the so-called white men, the so-called Asian men, the so-called African men, we worry about them sharing the kingdom with us. That's what we worry about.
Right.
Why God can't love them? Why they can't be with us? Well, hell, they didn't want you to be with them, so why you worry about them?
Right.
See, the Most High picked you on his basketball team. We all played basketball before. You get handpicked. Are you worried about the people who don't get handpicked?
Right.
No, you happy on the team. So now we need to understand. Now we understand this that we can't worry about nobody else because we can't afford to worry about nobody else right now.
Damn
man.
right.
You know what I'm saying? We gotta worry about each other, man. We gotta worry about our own family, our own nation. What you bring out so heavy, priest? You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Salaki.
And Most High Christ, like what you said was heavy, and I'm glad you just said that. Like we are. Think about, we are in captivity, just like the priest said. We are in captivity right now, to this day. We have to answer to our oppressor. We are getting murdered by our oppressor on TV while they get paid for it.
Right.
And all we can think about is saving them.
Right.
Meanwhile, your brother just got suffocated with a knee on his neck for 8.5 minutes. Your Mexican brothers and sisters on the border are being locked in cages and being taken away from their parents and being sold into sex trafficking rings. And Lord knows what's going on with those children, man. And your oppressor has no answers for you. Your sisters and brothers are suffering right now. But all we can think about as a nation is how we're gonna welcome our oppressor into our kingdom.
Right.
That we don't even have. We don't even have the bare minimum in their kingdom.
Right.
And while they're in their kingdom, they're not checking for you. Like we just brought out. Those children on the border, they are going missing day by day, man. The number is climbing week by week, month by month, year by year. It's just climbing, and we are turning a deaf ear to it as a people, man. Your oppressor is turning a deaf ear to it, and they have no explanation, man. They're the ones who separated you from your family.
Right.
They're the ones who separated you and keep you out of this country after they stole it from you. They're the ones who's doing this, man. But all we can think about is how we gonna love them. And like they're the ones doing it, and they don't have an answer when they ask where are these children going, what's happening to these lost children that are unaccounted for.
Right.
They don't have an answer, and they're the ones doing it. Meanwhile, we're trying to make room for them in our kingdom that we haven't even put in a brick for yet.
Right.
We haven't even begun to build it up yet.
Right.
Like we got the game twisted, man. We got it twisted and tangled in all types of ways, man. But that's why it's so important for us to understand the importance of family, man. How important family is. Because if you look at your oppressor and in their kingdom and all, you know what I'm saying, all these other nations around you, they know exactly how important family is. Right. They understand the importance of family so much that when you go to that Chinese hair salon and try to, you know what I'm saying, get you a chair and get you an application so that you can earn you some money, they throwing your application in the garbage.
Right.
When it comes time for you to, like, you looking for a job and your oppressor, you know what I'm saying, he got a family business. When it's time for you to get a job and you want to apply, you're gonna be the first one to they gonna throw your application away. And if they do so happen to employ you for their slavery, then once they done using you up, they're gonna throw you away. You're gonna be the first one they get rid of, man.
Right.
Because they understand that when you have a family, you have to stay together and you have to serve. You have to think about your family first.
Right.
They understand how important that is, man. But we don't, man. And we have hundreds of years of captivity to thank for that. We have colorism to thank for that. We have Christianity to thank for that. And Martin Luther King and all these Creflo Dollar, T.D. Jakes and all of that to thank for that, man. See, we tend to base our family off of the language that we speak and the proximity of where we grew up. Like, just because your oppressor may have grown, you know what I'm saying, lived next door to you, or he went to the same school as you, you're considering him your family. Meanwhile, you got a brother who is going through the exact same condition that you are right next to you, man.
Right.
You got somebody right next to you who's going through the exact same conditions as you, and we don't even consider them, man.
Right.
And a lot of times we tend to, like, we especially tend to overlook our Hispanic and Native American brothers and sisters because of the language barrier.
Right.
Like, we speak English, and your Hispanic brothers and sisters, they speak Spanish, and you know we tend to gather together, like, just like black people. We speak English, so we gather together and we, you know what I'm saying, we communicate with one another. Hispanics speak Spanish, so they communicate with one another. You know what I'm saying? Haitians speak they speak what is it, French?
Yeah, Creole.
And Creole. They're like, they speak. Yeah, they speak their language. They speak the language that they speak, so they communicate with one another, and we tend to like click up based off of our language. But what we have to understand is your language. Your language is a indicator of the captivity that you served under, man. Like Brazilian, like for example, Brazilians, they speak Portuguese.
Right.
And the Hispanics speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
But what we got to understand is that you speak those separate languages because your country was divided. Your land was divided by the Spaniards and the Portuguese, which are both European countries.
That's right.
They came over into South America where the transatlantic slave trade began, and they divided your country. So some South America, some of our Hispanics brothers and sisters, they speak Portuguese. Some of them speak Spanish.
Right.
And that is how we become further divided.
Right.
And then on top of that, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, they speak Spanish while we speak English, because while they were conquered by the Spaniards and put in captivity by the Spaniards, we were taken into captivity and overtaken and conquered by the Europeans. So we speak English.
Right.
We speak English because that's our captivity. It's like, you have something?
Oh yeah, you saying so heavy because we use the oppressive language against our own selves. So if you speak English, if you speak Spanish, you better because you speak Spanish, or you better because you speak English.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or you better because you speak French, Creole, or you better because you speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? We use the oppressive language to beat up on each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say this. Like, we were born in China. Blacks were Chinese, Hispanics were born in Germany. You know what I'm saying? It's different languages, right?
Right.
But let me tell you, Black, Hispanic, Native Americans. The only thing will make us the same is that we're slaves to any language we speak of a different nation.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying? We all slaves, man. You look at this in Texas, man. You got Mexicans working in Chinese restaurants sometimes. I don't know if you ever seen it before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got niggas. You know what I'm saying? You got niggas working in Chinese restaurants. You got niggas working for Arabs in Church of Chicken, and you know what I'm saying? You got Mexicans working with the niggas, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all slaves in society, man, and we think we better because we speak a different language. That's a slave mentality, man.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying? It's right.
Damn right. Now, what you said was absolutely correct, and like, I'm glad you just said that. I just sent you a link, right? It wasn't no more in that scripture. You're not holding nothing, are you?
Oh, yeah,
okay, most times crazy. Like what the brother just said was so heavy. Like we tend to like we said, click up and, you know what I'm saying, pat ourselves on the back because I know some Spanish.
Right.
Yeah, I know how to speak Spanish, or I know English. I know proper English. I pronounce every word just like this, and I'm exquisite, and I know big words.
Right.
That's how we judge one another, man. And it's sickening. It's sick because, and I mean that literally, we are sick because we don't understand that the language that we speak is because of our captivity. Our original language was not Spanish or English or Portuguese or Patois or Creole. That's not our original language. Our original language was Hebrew.
That's right.
It was Hebrew, man. And that's what we were speaking before your oppressor came over and oppressed us, man, and stole our language, beat our language out of us, man.
Right.
And forced us to forget our language, put us in concentration camps, and made us forget our culture like they did to my Hispanic and Native American brothers and sisters.
That's right.
Man, they all over the country, man. They're like, they forced you to forget your language, man. And then they forced their language down your throat.
Right.
That's what we have to understand, man. Your language means nothing. And just like the priest brought out, man, like if the shoe was on the other foot, like if the Chinese was born in Germany, and if the Chinese was born in Germany, like they would just be Chinese. They would just be Chinese people born in Germany.
Right.
They still belong to their culture and they still have their language. So if the South American, if the Hispanics were conquered by the Germans instead of the Spaniards, then our Hispanic brothers and sisters will be speaking German. If our, you know what I'm saying, like our language that we speak is because of our captivity, and it's nothing to be proud of, man. It's nothing to, you know what I'm saying, it's nothing to hold your head high about. Now, there's nothing wrong with, you know what I'm saying, learning several languages so that you can, because like that's a, you know what I'm saying, like if you go out your way so that we can communicate effectively with one another now that we're in captivity, you know what I'm saying, that's another thing, man. And you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, you should have that zeal to want to communicate with your brothers and sisters. But for you to be born speaking a language or born into learning a specific language and then to hold your head high because of that, you are lost, man, and you are still a slave because that is an indicator of your captivity, man.
Right.
Now, another reason that we are divided is that we think like we're by the land that we were born in. That makes us who we are, and that makes us our family. When that has nothing to do with family, man. Because like the priest just brought out in Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 6, we were made to be above all people on the face of the earth. Granted, we did have our land that was our inheritance, but at the end of the day, we were supposed to rule over. We were supposed to have dominion over all people on the face of the earth.
Right.
So it doesn't matter, man. It don't matter if we in Israel or we in America or we in China, man. We ruling over all of that, man. That's what, as the Most High intended, man. Thus saith the Lord. Thus saith the Bible.
That's right.
Man, it doesn't matter what land you were born in or brought up in, and we're gonna prove that right now. Go ahead, get that article that I sent you, Baba Kashai, and we gonna break this. We gonna try to lay this as flat as we could possibly, we possibly can tonight. Because these are tools that are used against us to make us fight one another. You know the phrase divide and conquer. This is exactly what you got to understand that your oppressor is a cunning beast. He was a cunning hunter and was blessed with the sword. So he knows how to divide a nation and conquer those people for his own personal gain. And he is so good at it that now after he has conquered us, he can put us against each other. So now he's using us to build his kingdom and then conquer and kill one another.
Right.
Like we're fighting one another, doing his dirty work. Meanwhile, when one of us dies, he get paid for it. He get the benefits for it, man. Right. When we get, you know what I'm saying, when our houses get foreclosed on and we can't afford to pay the bills, or we, you know what I'm saying, we sell a house that's been in the house for or it's been in the family for generations, your oppressor buys that for dirt cheap because he knows that you just need a couple $1,000s real quick. Right. Meanwhile, he's flipping it for hundreds of thousands of dollars and making making 10 times as much as what you sold it for, so that and that money's gone. You know what I'm saying? Like he is taking advantage of you in every way that he can. In every way that he can, man.
Right.
While we sitting here, you know what I'm saying, fighting over crumbs, man. We gotta open our eyes and understand that we are a family.
Right.
Slacky, read just the first paragraph. It's just born in.
Is that Britannica?
Yeah, Britannica.
This the article called Britannica. Elon Musk.
Okay, so this is talking about Elon Musk, the so-called who was that? So the Tesla, the engineer tycoon, so-called. You know what I'm saying? He, you know what I'm saying, multi-million-dollar business, runs Tesla, right? We are familiar with Elon Musk. Now to us, you know what I'm saying, we know that he is an oppressor. He is a devil, a deceiver. Right. You know what I'm saying, an oppressor in this earth, who continues to gain, you know what I'm saying, gain off of the backs, blood, sweat, and tears of in the minds off of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We know this, but this has to open our eyes to some degree, man, because we think because of the transatlantic slave trade, dark-skinned, the so-called Negroes were taken out of Africa and put in captivity in America. Right. So now we think that we are Africans because we were brought out of that land. Well, we got to understand that where you were born doesn't define your family. It doesn't define the nation that you belong to, man. Right. It doesn't matter where you're born at. If you are a so-called Negro, Hispanic, or Native Americans, you are still chosen by the Most High. Whether you were born in America, South America, or damn Australia, or wherever you were born at. If you are so-called Negroes, Hispanic, or Native Americans, man, you are chosen, man. But this is what colorism has done to us, man. This is what colorism and the confusion of your oppressor has done to you. It's like Baba Kasha, if you could read that.
Okay. Born June the 28th, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa.
In where?
Pretoria, South Africa.
Hold up, let me move the mic over just a little closer. Where was he born at? This so-called white man who got all this money and is, you know what I'm saying, he got so much, all this status and clout in this country. He was born where?
Pretoria, South Africa.
Oh, so by definition, so based on our minds, what we understand, that will make him so he was born in South Africa and he came over to America. So that would make him what? A so-called African American, right? Right. I mean, based off of our logic, based off of Christianity, what they taught us in colorism, and what your oppressors taught you, that would make so-called Elon Musk an African American. Right. And I pray that I'm wrong, but there's probably somebody out there celebrating right now, like, yeah, Elon Musk, he an African American, man. That's our brother. You know what I'm saying? Trying to like, yeah, they gonna start pretty soon. They gonna start teaching about Elon Musk in Black History Month. Because we call ourselves African Americans out of confusion, and he's an African who is in America. Right. But aren't we based on your oppressor and based on Christianity and based on the Kemet community? Aren't our ancestors born in Africa? And now we were migrants, and or we were translated or transported to America through the transatlantic slave trade. So what separates Elon Musk from so-called black people? I would love to hear a Christian, or you know what I'm saying, the Kemet community, or so-called Afro-Americans, or a Black Panther, or whoever subscribes to those filthy Africans, the so-called the Hamites. I would love to hear their explanation for that, man. Because based on this, what they believe, then Elon Musk is an African American. Right. We got to understand that means that where you're born at and where you come from, the land that you come from, doesn't determine your nationality, man. Right. That's just where you were born. Because if I was born in Germany, I'm just a so-called Negro that was born in Germany.
Right.
Like if I was born in China, they gonna look at me as the same so-called Negro that they will refuse to employ and refuse to give their daughters to. They gonna look at me as the same Negro. I'm just born in China. I'm just born in Japan. I'm just born in Germany. But we are the only people who honestly believe that we belong. Like we are defined by where our parents where our parents conceived us.
Right.
And that is another avenue that they use to blind us and pit us against one another, man.
Right.
And confuse us, man. Because the reality of it is, and anybody, all you gotta do is have a pair of eyes in your head. All you gotta do is look. All you gotta do is look at what's going on around you and the way these people behave to know that these are not your people. Elon Musk is not a so-called Negro. He is not black. He is not a black man just because he was born in Pretoria, South Africa, man.
Right.
He is I would have to. I'm not even sure if he's good night. He is. I'm not sure if he's African or if he would be a so-called Edomite. But either way, he is not our people, man.
Right.
He is not our people, man. But we got to understand that it's not where you're born at. It's not the language you speak. It's not the color of your skin, man. It's not the color of your skin, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. But what defines you is the curses, man. The curses and the curses that you suffer through, that you've always suffered through, are the identifying marker of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
That is how we should identify ourselves. That's what we should look to when it's time to find out who your brother is, who your sister is, who your family is, who you should marry. You know what I'm saying? Who you should have children with, man.
Right.
That is who you should look to. Who's going through the same things as me, man? Cause we're the only people who can feel each other's pain, man.
Right.
If you lay with that filthy oppressor or any of these other nations, man, they're not gonna understand your pain when you get fired from your job because they're trying to because they just don't want to hire you, or you just don't get the job because they don't want to hire you, or you make a minimum wage, or you can't get a loan from the bank. You get redlined out of having good housing or going to the so-called best schools. Right. They're not gonna understand your pain because they're not going through the same pain, man.
Right.
They don't know what it's like.
Right.
So, Flocky, go ahead.
Slocky. No, you're saying it's heavy because, cause we think that we all Americans and we all of the world type. You know what I'm saying? We think these people is going to accept us, man. I'm being transparent, man. I was in a predicament as well. Like when I was in college, man. We had these church families that take care of, the black football players that come out to California.
Right.
And what they do, they give you they take care of you basically. They take care of you, make sure you're good and stuff like that. But it's always something they let you know that you're still a nigga. And they only for you because of the money. They get profit off of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's always like that. You know what I'm saying? Even when I also had I went to the wild side, man. I don't know what I was on back then, but I had a Korean girlfriend. The whole time we was together, she never told her parents about me. Because, you know what I'm saying? She never told her parents about me. You know why? Because I'm a slave and I'm a nigga.
Right.
And she just with me just to be having fun.
Right.
So these people, you get our brothers and sisters that want to go to the other side, go to the other nations, man. They will never see you as an equal. They only see what they can get from you.
Right.
That's it, man.
Damn right. Now get that in. That's an absolute fact, man. Like they know that their family, they know who their family is, and they know that you are not their family.
That's right.
But we sitting there thinking that God loves everybody and we should love everybody and we should give our love to everybody, man. But while we giving our love to everybody, we forget our people. Like we end up giving our love to everybody but a black, Hispanic, and Native American brother or sister, man.
Right.
And that's what loving everybody gets you, man. It makes you forget your people, man. Because if you love everybody, and you it's like a bag of Skittles with, you know what I'm saying, who you gonna give your love to? You're like, oh, I've already had this flavor. I already had, you know what I'm saying, the so-called Negro. You know what I'm saying? I've been around Negroes all my life. I've been around Hispanic brothers and sisters all my life, man. I want to try something different. I want to see what them Asians is like. And then we end up separating from our people. I want to see what it's like to be with the so-called the so-called white man, our oppressor, man. I want to see what it's like to be with an African, a stinking Hamite. So we end up, because we want to love everybody, we want to give everybody our love, we end up forgetting, we end up giving everybody our love but our people, man, because we tired of that same old song and dance, man. Right. But that's the only people that are made for us, man. Salakia, I should have been sending you this article. But we got to understand, Bob Kashai, let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. Bob Kashai. And these are the curses. Deuteronomy 28 is, if you read the whole chapter, it's talking about the blessings and the curses that will befall blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. If we obey the Most High, we will get the blessings, and if we disobey the Most High, we will get the curses. And based on, you know what I'm saying, based on these curses, these are like, based on what's in Deuteronomy 28, these are things that have come to pass, man. Or, you know, like these are things that have come to pass, or things that we live through today, man, that no other nation is going through. And this is the blueprint that you want to look into to find out who your brother is, man, who your sister is, so that you can separate who's not your brother and who's not your sister, man, so that you can make wiser decisions on who to love and who not to love, and who to separate from and who to cleave to, and how to behave and all of that, man. But you got that Deuteronomy?
Come, got it. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 27. And thou shalt become an astonishment.
All right.
A proverb. And a byword.
A what?
And a byword.
A what?
Byword.
A nigga?
Byword.
A spit?
Byword.
A savage?
Byword.
A wetback?
Byword.
This is what we've become in this nation, man.
That's right.
This is what the Bible says, that we will become a what?
Byword.
Go ahead, read on.
Among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Right, so no matter what nation you were born into, whether you were born in Germany, whether you were born in China, whether you were born in Africa, whether you were born in Korea, or whether you were born in South or North America, man, you will become a byword and an astonishment and a proverb. You will become something. You will become an entertainment piece and something to make a spectacle of and to laugh at, man, amongst all these nations that are around you, man. You will become as nothing to them. Slack. Well, you got something else to do?
Yeah, if I could, so hear you saying that, man, because you know, you look at nowadays, like, you know, when they see us, man, they see, okay, athletic, play sports, that's the only thing. They told LeBron James, that lady told LeBron James, shut up and dribble the ball. Right. Because that's the only way they see us, man.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying? They see our sisters out there twerking and all that, just twerking anywhere in the mall, parking lot, whatever, you know what I'm saying? When they see them, you know what I'm saying, a byword, they see them as entertainment, they see them as being an entertainer, being a woman of the night, you want to call them. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, they see us like that, man. Like, but meanwhile, they put us in this predicament to act that way. Right. You know what I'm saying? They take everything from us and they say, then they want to talk about us. Like, oh, look at them, ha ha ha. I don't think we play basketball. Well, hell, that's why we got the hood, man. Right. We can't be like you and just inherit business and you know what I'm saying, multi-business. We got to come up from the bottom. Right. In your heaven.
Right. Now, exactly, like what you said was facts. And the thing about it is, it don't matter, like what's so heavy about what you said is, it don't matter how much money you make. Right. Like LeBron James, man. He is one of the most highest paid, if not the highest paid basketball player in the NBA. But, you know what I'm saying, when it came to the plight and the struggle of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and we wanted answers, we wanted systematic reform, and we wanted reparations and all of that. We wanted acknowledgement and equality, all they said, shut up and dribble, you
Right.
millionaire, you millionaire monkey.
Right.
Like that's how they look at us, man. We are. I know we've all been to the zoo, right? We've all. That's how your oppressor looks at you, man. Like this is a gigantic zoo, and they just go to the zoo. What do you go to the zoo for? For entertainment, man.
Right.
To be entertained, to go and see the monkeys, to go and see the giraffes and the exotic birds and all of that.
Right.
But what does it say on every cage? What does it say on every cage? Do not feed the monkeys.
Right.
And that is exactly how your oppressor sees you, man. They go there, they buy themselves peanuts and all of that, and buy the, you know what I'm saying, the novelties and the trinkets and all of that.
Right.
And they are just having a good time, passing through, watching you in a cage, throw your feces and, you know what I'm saying, act the, you know what I'm saying, monkey around in the cage and shuck and jive. And that's how your oppressor sees you, man.
Right.
And fight one another. That's how your oppressor, and at the end of the day, you stay in that cage, man. You gotta sleep on a cold floor. And when it rains, you gotta sleep in the rain or find shelter under a rock. While your oppressor, they come there for a time, get entertained by you, and then they go home to their multi-million-dollar homes in their gated communities, man. Sipping wine, you know what I'm saying, in their foyer, in their robe with the fireplace and all of that. Meanwhile, you cold and hungry, man, because you were forgotten about.
Right.
You were forgotten about, and you don't get loved, man. You get maintained like a good slave, like a good animal. You get maintained for the purpose of entertaining the rich,
Right.
but entertaining your oppressor, man. That's what you do, man. So the people, even though you get thrown a bone like LeBron James, you know what I'm saying? He was drafted out of high school at what, 17 into the NBA, like you know what I'm saying? Brothers like Kobe and you know what I'm saying? All these brothers with money, and even if you know what I'm saying, you come up and make a name for yourself. Yeah, they might have thrown you a bone, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they don't love you, man. They're not throwing you this bone because they love you. They don't pay LeBron James millions because they love him. They pay him, that's maintenance.
Right.
They are maintaining LeBron James, man, so that they can continue to get billions.
Right.
They pay him millions so that they can get trillions of dollars off of the NBA annually, man. They're just maintaining you. And then they throw you your peanut, they pat you on the head, and then they say, all right, now go out there, shut up and dribble.
Right.
It don't matter the money that you make, man. It doesn't matter, man, because they are not your family, man. You are just a byword and an astonishment and a proverb to them. You are entertainment. That's all you can be for them, because they are not your family. Slakia. That was it on that scripture? Or was it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, Most High Christ. You see that article that I sent you?
Yeah.
Now, this is, you know what I'm saying, I pray that this can help our Black, Hispanic, and Native American brothers and sisters understand something real quick. That we are all one people. We are all one people, man. And we try to divide ourselves like, you know what I'm saying, so-called Negroes, like we look at our so-called Hispanic brothers and sisters like, you know what I'm saying, less than, and you know what I'm saying, our vice versa. Our Hispanic brothers and sisters, they look at us like we less than, like we lazy and all of that. But at the end of the day, we are the same people.
Right.
And we went through the same things. We are in the same hell, man.
Right.
We are in the same hell, man. And it is, you know what I'm saying, how do we know this? Because of history. Simply because of history. If you have two eyes in your head, and if you just look around you, and you pick up a book, and you look at how you're being treated today, you can find out, you can see that the same things that you go through, your oppressor doesn't go through. As a black man, your oppressor doesn't go through the same thing that you go through as a black man, but somebody does. And those Hispanics and Native Americans who you overlook on those reservations and in those concentration camps at the border, who you forget about because there's a language barrier, because they had a different slave master than you, that is the person that you need to love. That is your brother. That is your sister.
Right.
Those are the people that you need to be having children with. and raising your families with, and helping them out, providing, you know what I'm saying, resources for them. That's who you need to be, you know what I'm saying, befriending. That is who you need to be hiring in your businesses, man. When we start our economics.
Right.
That's what we need to do. We need to be loving one another, man, because they know exactly. They're the only people. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the only people who can understand our pain, man.
All right.
We going through the same things, and this is gonna prove it today, man. Start at where it says the term Negro.
Okay.
So this is from the website Indian Country Today. And this is talking about, this is 6 shocking facts about slavery, natives, and so-called African Americans, man. And what we got to understand is that we were intermixed. So like we were intermixed. Like the Native Americans are just blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who they were just nomadic African or blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who came to as a matter of fact, what is that in Ezra's? Where Salakia, as a matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Yeah, Baba Kashai. Let me see. But we are just people who traveled from one place to another and came to America, came to South America, and settle here and made our lives here, and we were keeping our culture in this land. But we are all the same people, man. We are no better. 2nd Ezra chapter 13. We're no better or worse than one another, man. Blacks are no better or worse than Hispanics. Hispanics are no better or worse than Native Americans, and Native Americans are no better or worse than blacks or Hispanics, man. We are all one people, man. We just so happen to be conquered by different people at different times, man. And we're gonna get that right now, man.
What verse is it?
Verse 41. Oh, Salakia. Verse 40.
All right. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40. Oh, sorry. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom
Salmanasseh.
Salmanasseh the king of it
The king of Assyria.
the king of Syria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters.
He did what?
And he carried them over the waters.
So the transatlantic slave trade.
And he carried them over the waters.
So Salakia. So they did what?
And he carried them over the waters.
Right. That's exactly what we went through. Go ahead.
And so came they into another land.
Right. So just like we were carried over the waters during the transatlantic slave trade and all the other captivities where we were transported all over the 4 corners of the earth, this is happening in 2nd Ezra's, man, where our people are being carried over the waters into a strange land, man, into another land where we you know what I'm saying, under our oppressor. Oh, go ahead, read on.
Verse 21. But they took the counsel among themselves,
right,
that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
That they would do what?
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
So we were taken into captivity, and then we came together because we came together with our family. We was like, look, we need to get away from this heathen, man. We need to get up out of this condition, man. Go ahead, read on.
And go forward to a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Where what?
Where never mankind dwelt.
So when Christopher Columbus said he discovered this new land, that couldn't have been true because right. we were there first because we moved out of our captivity and, you know what I'm saying, escaping captivity and went to a further country where what?
Where no man, it's like where never mankind dwelt.
Where never mankind dwelt. So if nobody has dwelt there before, then that means what? then that means we were the first people, man. That's why we have our Native American brothers have that byword, that they were Native Americans, man.
Right.
Or First Nation, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever they would prefer to go by. You know what I'm saying? Like because they were here first. That's why they're called First Nation people, man. That's why they are called natives, man.
Right.
And that's why when Christopher Columbus, you know what I'm saying, came over and rape, robbed, and like he couldn't just come and settle freely. He had to rape, rob, and murder a nation of people to make room for him and his wicked nation, man. Right. And then when he got greedier and greedier, he had to push them further west. Him and his what's the word? His children and his children's children, his descendants. Right. They had to push their, you know what I'm saying, natives further and further west during the Trail of Tears, man.
Right.
To get them out of the way so that they can have room to, you know what I'm saying, to do whatever wickedness and disgusting behavior that they want to do in this country, man. Because there were people here, man. Because we moved here to a land where no man dwelt, man. It's like verse 42.
Verse 42. That they might keep their statuses.
Nah, but we were savages, right? That they might do what?
Keep their statuses. Statues, like.
But nah, we was you know what I'm saying, we was just savages, man. And we ain't had no, you know what I'm saying, we weren't civilized people at all. But we were doing what?
Keep their statues.
We moved to this land where never mankind dwelt so that we can keep our statutes. Slacky, read on.
Which they never kept in their own land.
So we moved to this new place where never a man dwelt so that we can keep our statutes and law, statutes, and commandments in peace, man. That the Most High gave us. We could keep them in peace in this land where never man dwelt, man. This is the type of time that we were on, man. And when Christopher Columbus came over in 1492 in with the conquistadors, and when our people were brought over on cargo slave ships financed by your oppressors and all these other nations who came together against you, man. When we were brought over here, man, we were keeping before they came over and started killing us, rape, robbing, and murdering us by the millions, we were keeping our commandments, man. Right. We were keeping our culture. And that's how you know that your oppressor is a goddamn liar. Right. He's a goddamn liar and a wicked bastard.
All right.
That we should never give our love to, man. But Salakia, you got that article for me, Baba Kashan?
The terms Negro may have been meant for American Indians.
Right, so I'm gonna let you read it and I'm gonna break it all down.
During the session, Native Americans at 1619, Dr. Erica Coleman, an assistant professor at the University of Delaware, who is a Rappahannock and African American descent, discuss how the term Negro might actually be referring to the American Indians.
All right, so now we understand, right, that when we say American Indians, we are talking about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who moved from their captivity, fleeing their captivity to where never a man dwelt. Right, which was America. Which was America, right? So we understand that now. So when you hear the term American Indian or Native American or any of those words, just understand that that's not talking about just what we think a Native American is today. It is talking about the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who were here first.
Right.
And the professor in the University of Delaware just said that the term Negro might actually be referring to the people who are already here. You know what that means? Blacks, Hispanic, or black people are called nigga, Negro, or you know what I'm saying, whatever. We're called all those things today. Mm-hmm. But when we hear those words, we don't necessarily think of our brothers and sisters, our Hispanic brothers and sisters today.
Right.
But when they said those words back in the mid 1600s, early 1700s, that word was meant for that was meant for all of us from the nation of Israel, man. Blacks,
Right.
Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. That wasn't an exclusive. That wasn't exclusively for dark skin. You know what I'm saying? For the dark skin of us, man. That's colorism, man. That's the veil of colorism over our eyes. But
If I could,
yeah, Bob.
the white man, like he's so damn not the smartest person on earth, man. I'm saying that. Man, like he called Arabs sand niggas. Anybody with color, they call niggas.
Who was that? Salakia. Who called?
I forgot where I heard that from, but I know for a fact that's what they call Arabs. They call them sand niggas. Cause just cause they got melanin in them. Anybody got melanin in them, you know what I'm saying? Like the white man, he's just so jealous of us. He's jealous of, you know what I'm saying, especially jealous of the 12 tribes, man. You know what I'm saying? And they just so the dumb, they just very dumb people. You know what I'm saying? Just because, see, in their head, they think we all, you know what I'm saying, we all like the, you know, just out here just living like, you know, but anyway,
right.
You know, on track. But yeah, so they call Arabs sand niggas. So
right.
what you saying is heavy because they did call Native American niggas.
Damn right.
Everybody that had like that, do that, and so-called Hispanic. They call all of us, it's like a group. They call us niggas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot.
Damn right, man. All skin folk ain't kin folk, man.
Damn right.
Just cause you got a little bit of tint in your skin,
Damn
man.
right.
That don't mean don't make us your brother, man.
Damn right.
You wasn't with like, what was that? Rick Bro, he said you wasn't with us when we was shooting in the gym.
Damn right.
You wasn't, you know what I'm saying? You wasn't with us in our captivity. You didn't have your children taken away from you.
Damn
But
right.
blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as a nation have, man.
Right.
And that's how you know who your family is, man. But we gonna get into it, man. We gonna get further into it. Bob, can I read on?
Coleman pointed out during the conference that the early Virginia legislature identified Moors and Negroes separately.
Mm-hmm.
There is also documentation in which individuals were described as Negro Africans.
Where you at? Right up under, it's just according to her 2013 book.
Oh, okay. According to her 2013 book, the blood stay pure. The term's origin can be traced to medieval Italy.
To where?
Medieval Italy.
So the Dark Ages, right? Go ahead, read on.
Where it was a classification of skin color, not race.
Classification of what?
Skin color, not race.
So colorism.
Right.
That's colorism right there for you. Go ahead, read on.
Additionally, Europeans often refer to indigenous population of their community as Negroes.
As what?
As Negroes.
Right. So they've been calling us Negroes.
Right.
And it wasn't just you know what I'm saying, the so-called African American today.
Right.
It was blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. We were called Negroes together, man. It wasn't exclusively just one people, man. Slacky, read on.
In the Portuguese colonies of Brazil.
So this is where the Portuguese came and invaded and divided the land with the Spaniards of Brazil, right? Which is why Brazilians speak Portuguese. Read on.
Indians were called Negroes.
So that word Indian, just to remind you, is talking about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as we just learned the second Esdras. Read on, Salaki.
The Terra.
So they were called what?
The Terra.
They were called Negroes de Terra. And that word means what?
Meaning Negroes of the land.
Right. So they've been calling us, so in medieval Italy, they were calling us Negroes. In South America, they were calling us Negroes. In North America's captivity, they were calling us Negroes, man.
Right.
They've been calling us these things, man. And it's not exclusively to so-called African Americans to this day. Drop down to the 1600s law said the closest Indians were guilty.
This is the 1600 law saying the closest Indians were guilty of murder.
Right. So just like Just like, okay, so why did they kill Emmett Till? Because he was accused of something that wasn't true. That we found out several years after that brother's murder, almost 80 years after that brother's murder, we found out that what he was accused of was not true. And he was just accused of whistling or whatever the case was at a white woman, or waving at a white woman, or whatever the case was. In Rosewood, Florida, that town was burned down because of an accusation of a white woman.
Right.
The same with what was it, Tulsa, Oklahoma. That city was burned to the ground because of an accusation that that a black man had done something to a white woman, which was found out to be absolutely not true.
Right.
So we were being black people, so-called black people, are being false accused, just like to this day. Like what George Floyd got murdered. He got his life taken away for a so-called counterfeit $10 bill, and you know what I'm saying, whether that's true or not, that's not a reason for a man to lose his life. But my point is, we're constantly being accused of things all the time.
Right.
But we forget in our suffering, we forget that our Hispanic and Native American brothers and sisters, which are just blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who speak a different language, we forget that they also suffer the same things. We're gonna get into that right now. Baba Kashad started. Austin shared that in October.
Okay.
That paragraph.
Austin shared that in October of 1665, according to Henderson statutes at large the law of Virginia.
So real quick, the Henry statutes were basically, it was like Jim Crow for black people. It was laws that were put in place to keep blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans unprotected and oppressed. That's what Henning's statutes were in Virginia. Salakia. No, go ahead, read on.
If an Englishman were murdered, the
Right.
closest Indian town would be held accountable for the crime.
Now you read that again.
If an Englishman was murdered, the closest Indian town will be held accountable for the crime.
So you notice, Baba Kashad, read it one more time, and I'll make a point.
If an Englishman was murdered,
Right.
the closest Indian town will be held accountable for the crime.
So you notice that there is no talk about, in the statute, there is no mention of having any proof. It's not saying if an Indian was found guilty of murdering an Englishman, or if he was caught in the act, or whatever, like if there was proof. It just says if an Englishman was murdered. So again, we're gonna go back to Rosewood, Florida. Now they so-called bombed that whole strip because the police chief was shot. The police chief was shot during, you know what I'm saying, while trying to detain those brothers out of that, you know what I'm saying, in that community. But he was shot in the back of the head. So he was shot in the back of the head. So that means, so if there's police on this side and the police chief is here, and then there's gunfire on this side, if your police chief got shot in the back of his head, that means what? Then that means one of their own men killed that person. But guess who was held accountable? Black people, black Hispanics and Native Americans. The people who were in that community, they were held accountable, man. Even though the evidence says that their own men shot their police chief in the back of the head. But that's the same thing that's happening right now in 1665, where it says if an Englishman was murdered, doesn't matter how he was murdered or who murdered him, if it was one of his own or if he just died, or whatever the case was. It could have been an animal mauled him to death. If an Englishman was found dead, the closest Indian town to where that Englishman was found murdered was held accountable for the crime, despite the evidence against it or despite the lack of proof or any of that. They were held accountable. We're going to get into that. Go ahead, read on, Baba Shah.
When the authorities in 1680 assumed, what's that?
Nanciaticos.
Nanciaticos had committed a murder.
They did what? They did what?
Had committed a murder.
It's like in 1680 they did what? After 16.
Assume.
They did what?
Assume.
They did what?
Assume.
So they assumed. They didn't have any facts. They assumed that the Nanciaticos had committed a murder. Go ahead, read on.
Had committed a murder. They reenacted hanging statues and order all children under 12 be indentured to the English as servants until the age of 24.
Right. So without proof, they assumed that these Native Americans, these Black Hispanics and Native Americans who were already here, they assumed that they had murdered this Englishman and applied the hanging statutes and ordered all children under 12, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4, 5, young children, babies, I'm sure, young men and women were to be indentured to the English as servants until the age of 24. And we all know how your oppressor gets down, man. When you serving your oppressor, man, he gonna squeeze every drop of life out of you, man. Everything that he can to get his use out of you, man. Regardless, you know what I'm saying? They didn't give a damn whether you died or not. So like read on.
The Indians were forbidden to return home, or they shall be transported beyond sea to
beyond what? Transported where?
Beyond sea.
So across the waters.
Beyond sea.
So the transatlantic slave trade.
Beyond sea.
We seeing a pattern here? Like I hope we catching on. You know what I'm saying, brothers and sisters watching online, man. Like this is a pattern. The same thing that happened in the Bible in second Esdras, where we were carried across the waters, man. During the transatlantic slave trade, or it's the same thing that's happening now, man. They were transported where?
Beyond sea.
Right, across the waters in the transatlantic slave trade to where?
To England.
Right.
Or some of the islands, and they're bound or sold for 7 years.
So because of an assumption, man, just like they do black people in this country, because of an assumption, they ship these Hispanic and Native Americans off to a strange country to be slaves from childhood to their mid-20s, man, to the beginning of their adult lives, man.
Right.
The same things that are happening to black people they're the same things that's happening to Native Americans, man, or in Hispanics, man. Right. And we should never forget that, man, because we are a family, man. We are a family. We gotta love each other as such, man, because the only people who are gonna understand our pain is the people who went through the same pain, man. And that's Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans collectively, man. We are not separate by any means. We are one people. Salaki, we're gonna come right back to that article, but let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. See, this is what we gotta understand. Like we gotta take off the veil of colorism and you know what I'm saying, the language that we speak and the country that we were born in, and trying to find our family and try to find people to love, man. Because it don't matter where you are, man. It don't matter what language you speak, man. It don't matter what the color of your skin is, man. If you are the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man, you are hated by all nations around you, man. And the only place that you could come to get love, man, real love, is another Black, Hispanic, and Native American, man.
Right.
But they, you know what I'm saying, you gotta, like we say, man, we know the struggle. We know the struggle, man. So you know what I'm saying, that's the only place where we can find love from. It's like, you got that?
Come. This is the book of Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. With ships.
With what?
With ships.
So across the water.
With ships.
So transatlantic slave trade.
With ships.
So when our brothers were shipped away in 1620, to go to England and serve from children to 24. With what?
With chips.
This is a repetitive thing, man. This is what they've done to all of us, man. It wasn't just black people. It wasn't just Hispanics. It wasn't just Native Americans. It was all of us, man. Because they hate us as one people. We're making separations between black, Hispanic, and Native Americans and picking and choosing who we gonna love and who we gonna, you know what I'm saying, click up with. Meanwhile, they hate us all together, man. They hate us all together. So we need to, just like they hate us all together, we need to love one another all together, man. Slack it. Go ahead and read on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee,
Mm-hmm.
thou shalt see it no more again.
Right.
And there ye shall be sold into your enemies.
That should be what?
Sold into your enemies.
That should be what?
Sold into your enemies.
So this is the same. This is the same thing that's been happening to all our people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's not an exclusive thing, man. So black people were sold into their enemies via the transatlantic slave trade. Hispanics and Native Americans were sold into their enemies via the, you know what I'm saying, via the hanging statutes and several other things. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not the first or last time blacks and Hispanics were sold into, you know what I'm saying, sold to another nation for labor, for cheap labor. It's lucky. But it's not the first time, man. It's not the first time. We gotta learn to, you know what I'm saying, love one another, man. Because if we don't love us, then nobody's gonna love us, man. They're gonna continue to pick us apart and hate us and destroy us and drown us in oppression. That's what they do, man. Because they're a family. And for their family to remain on top, they're gonna continue to oppress you, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's what they're gonna do. Was that the end of that?
No, this is a little bit more.
Okay, no, sir.
Sold into your enemies for bondman and bondwoman.
For what?
Bondman and bondwomen.
Good night. We don't have to, you know what I'm saying? We know what a bondman, and I hope we know what a bondman and a bondwoman is. That was us. That was us, you know what I'm saying? We were sold for bondmen and bondwomen. Now, I just sent you this article. And we're gonna learn how not only was so the Berlin, I'm gonna talk about the Berlin conference, right? So in Psalms 83, it says they have taken crafty counsel against our people. It's like, as a matter of fact, let's get that Psalms 83 before we get into this article. And we gotta understand that the only division between our people is the division that we, you know what I'm saying, the division that your oppressor has put in your head to get you to hate each other so that you can love him. But in reality, we are all the same people. And they don't treat us differently based on our people, man. I mean, there might be slight differences, but at the end of the day, we went into captivity over to a different country. We were sold and bought like cattle as bondmen and bondwomen. We were beaten, abused, and raped, robbed, and murdered, and pushed out of our land, man. Our land was stolen away from us. This happened to all of us, man. They had us in concentration camps, man. They had us going through these things. And it might have been at different times in history, but it's happened to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as a whole, man. And the solution is not to integrate and love your oppressor, man. It's not to, you know what I'm saying, forget about your brother and try to, you know what I'm saying, try to get up, you know what I'm saying, get a leg up on your brother, man. It's to come together with your brother and love your brother, man. Make marriages with your, you know what I'm saying, your brothers and sisters, man, that look like you and went through the same things with you, man. Make black households strong. Make Hispanic households and Native American households strong, man. When you see your brother down, that is what you need to do, man. You need to pick him up, man. You need to check on your brother and your sister. Make sure they okay, man. Make sure they got the means to survive, because if you ain't providing, your oppressor sure in the hell ain't providing it. I mean, they might throw you a little stimulus check every now and then, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But where's that money going? And how long does that last before you back down and out? Like, we got to understand that your oppressor, doesn't give a damn about you. And the only people who give a damn about you is your brothers. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. Salakia, what was it, Psalms 83?
Mm-hmm.
Verse what, 2, 3?
3.
Okay, most on Christ.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
So we just got done talking about the Berlin Conference, where, if you're not familiar, I'm gonna just break it down real quick for the sake of time. So the Berlin Conference was a conference held in Germany to decide how the European nations were going to divide the Americas. This is a conference that was held by all your oppressors to decide how they were going to divide the people that were in Africa, how they were going to divide the land in South America and North America, how they were going to divide these things, and who was going to get what, who was going to fund what for the voyage, how was it going to get paid for, who was going to go on a trip, who was going to stay behind, and who was going to collect the money, who was going to send it back home, and how this was all going to work out. They came together before, so that means that every atrocity that had our people scattered on the four corners of the earth, man, it was planned, man. It was premeditated by our oppressor, man. They all came together with, go ahead, Salaki, I'm not going to jump the gun.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
They have said what?
And let us cut them off from being a nation.
So this is why we don't understand that we are all family. We are all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are brothers, man. We are sisters, man. We are family. We are one people, man. Because they said what?
And let us cut them off from being a nation.
They want to cut you off from being a nation, black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man. So that you forget about your brother and love him, man. So that your resources don't go to your brother or sister. It goes to them. Because you have an affinity for them. You have Stockholm Syndrome. We have Stockholm Syndrome, man. That's why they're taking counsel against you, man. They're taking crafty counsel against you, man. So that you can be cut off from being a nation. Now, was there any more on that?
Yeah, a little more.
Okay, no sweat.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Right.
That's it.
Most High Christ. So this we have to understand that this is the end game for them. While we feel like, we just, some niggas and, we just some niggas and sticks in the hood and in the ghettos and in the barrios, their end game is to make you forget that you're a nation. And so far, it's been working, man. It's been proven to work because we forget who our ancestors are. We calling ourselves goddamn Africans. We calling ourselves African Americans, and we calling ourselves we calling ourselves by the name of our oppressor, walking around with the Mexican flag. That is the flag of our oppressor, man. We gotta realize that they are doing this on purpose to get you to forget who you are, so that you love them instead of your people. Now, just like in the Berlin Conference, they came together and decided how they were going to divide up these countries. They also came against, just like it said, they took crafty counsel against the Most High's people, and to make the nation of Israel, be in no more remembrance. They came together against the so-called the so-called Hispanics, who we know as the so-called Hispanics today. They came against them also, man. And we're gonna find out right now. Salakia, you got that article? You just start from the top whenever you get to it.
Alright, Slavery in Latin America.
Uh-huh.
Slavery in Latin America was economic and a social institution
Uh-huh.
which was existing in Latin America from being the colonial era to its legal
Abolition, Salaki.
legal abolition into the newly independent states during the 19th century. Although it continued illegally in some regions until the 20th century.
All right, so basically, all of that is saying like they took crafty counsel against. They came together and took counsel against how they were going to take advantage of the people who were in South America at that time. That's basically what that's saying. And then it also said that it also continued illegally in some regions into the 20th century. Now that sounds familiar. That reminds me of Juneteenth, when the so-called black people were free from captivity. They were so-called free from their captivity, but there were brothers and sisters on the other side of the country who didn't get that memo for another 3 years after we were so-called emancipated. And that's where we get the so-called holiday of Juneteenth, where we celebrate where our oppressor illegally kept us in captivity after we were so-called emancipated. For 3 years after we were emancipated. This is the same thing going on here, man. It was so-called abolished in the 19th century, but it continued illegally in some regions into the 20th century. So that means for 100 more years after it was abolished in that region, it continued. Salakia, go ahead, read on.
Slavery in Latin America began in the pre-colonial period.
So the pre-colonial period is before colonizers came into that land and started setting up camps and trying to establish themselves in that land. Does that sound familiar? Damn right, it sounds familiar. In America, man, where blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans already were here in a land where never a man dwelt. We were here first. And then they came and started colonizing, man. That's the pre-colonial period, before a nation comes and starts colonizing in an area. Go ahead, read on.
When indigenous and civilization included the Mayans and the Aztecs, enslaved captives taken in war. After the conquest of the Latin America by the Spanish and Portuguese.
By who?
By the Spanish and Portuguese.
So where is Spain? Where is Portugal? It's in Europe. These are our oppressors, the devils, the so-called white people, right, who just spoke different languages. They came over and they came over and conquered these people, man. It was just minding their damn business, trying to keep their statutes and keep their laws in the land where never a man dwelt, and serve the Most High. Slacker, go ahead, read on.
Over 4 million enslaved Africans were taken to Latin America. Via the Atlantic slave trade.
So we know that when we hear Africans, because they don't understand who we are, it's talking about the so-called Negroes who were taken over here in captivity.
Right.
During the transatlantic slave trade. So over 4 million enslaved Africans were taken into Latin America. So for over 4 million Negroes were taken into Latin America, right? Via the slave trade. So not only were we taken into North America, we were taken into South America. So just like there are so-called Negroes in North America, there are so-called Negroes in South America. And we were in captivity with our brothers. Just like, you know what I'm saying? That's why you have, you know what I'm saying? That's why we speak different languages, man, because we were taken to different regions, and wherever our captor, whoever was our slave master at the time, we were forced to learn their language, man.
Right.
So those Brazilians down there, those Argentinians and Chileans and the Mexicans and all those brothers and sisters down there, man, those are us, man. Those are the same people. They just speak a different language, man. Those are our brothers, man.
Right.
So like it, it's like it. I think that's it on that right there. But the same thing that happened to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, or the same thing that happened to black people, it happened to Hispanics and Native Americans too, man. And we are all one and the same, man. We are all one and the same. We share the same pain, man. And what do we need to do now? But with that being said, that means we need to come together. We need to start making marriages with one another again. We need to start building up each other's households again. We need to start providing for one another and communicating with one another, checking on one another as brothers, as family, man. We need to show brotherhood amongst one another, man, because we went through so much together, man. We can't turn our backs on one another now that our oppressor, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we got black people trying to speak Spanish. We got black people who are trying to, you know what I'm saying, fumble their way through this language and try to communicate with their brothers, man. You got Hispanics and Native Americans who are learning the English language so that they can speak to their brother and sister, man. But now is high time for us to come together and start loving one another, communicating and building with one another. It's like, do you have something you want to...
Oh, yeah, just real quick. You know,
what's what?
like, this is the thing with a lot of people, with a lot of the Southern tribe, you know what I'm saying, especially Judah, meaning the so-called Negro, that we are different from Hispanics, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, and Hispanics, and also that they're different from us. But the things that we say, well, the Judah, you know what I'm saying, the so-called Negro, we say they never went through the same thing we went through. But that's because, one, we don't read.
Right.
And two, because the white man's the devil, man, because he put things in place, just like the language, just like the religion, just like the culture, to separate us, man.
Mm-hmm.
And all along, we had the same, we got the same forefathers. We had the same religion, was the Paleo-Hebrew. We got the same culture, which is the Bible, man.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying? And the white man's the devil, man, because he got us thinking, hey, just because they got different language, just because they got different hair, just because they got different culture, just because they celebrate the pina colada, or what's that dog saying, birthday, hit the thing, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Like, you know, and that's like you said, crafty counsel, man.
Damn right.
That's crafty counsel. To mix everything up. And now we look at each other like we see this Hispanic brother over there, say, man, that nigga he ain't my brother, he ain't black. You know how, now we the truth. You know how, cause we always like that. You know what I'm saying? And now you see how, like, crazy they sound.
Right.
Like, this nigga, this Hispanic brother, so-called Hispanic brother went through the same thing my black ass went through. Slide.
Damn right.
My black behind went through.
No,
and how dare I discredit him of the damn, discredit him of his time in hell, man.
Right.
That means like you ain't been through hell, you ain't been through nothing I've been through.
Right.
And he would probably been worse than my black behind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He got his land taken from him.
Damn right.
You know what I'm saying? Our Native American brothers, they got their land taken from them. They got their kids taken from them, just like we have.
Right.
Just like so-called niggas had in slavery. It's still going to this day in the system.
Right. No, Salaki. Get that brother a hand, man. It's so, like, you really have to love your brother.
Right.
You really have to love your brother, man. Because they put us against one another from the beginning to build that tension between blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
So that we kill each other and that we ignore each other's pain and we disregard each other, like the brother said, discredit this brother's time in hell. Right. Man, we all going through hell, man, but they put us against each other, that we discredit each other and we continue to hurt each other. Right. So on top of the pain that you feel from your oppressor, you feel that worst pain from your brother when you look at your brother and you spit on the suffering that he went through. Right. You know what I'm saying, in this wicked land, man. Well, you gotta really love your brother, man. And it shows that we really love our brothers, man. Thank God for the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana, man. Because they're making it easier to love your brother, man. Right. But, you know what I'm saying, when they was coming up and, you know what I'm saying, laying the foundation of this truth in 1969, man, you know what I'm saying, they really had to love their people, man. They had to learn the Hebrew. They had to learn, you know what I'm saying, Spanish speaking people, they had to learn English. English speaking Spanish, English speaking people, they had to learn Spanish.
Right.
We have to go and dig in libraries to find the facts and find the information. We have to go to museums and dig in articles in newspapers and, you know what I'm saying, pass down this history, man.
Right.
We have to really love our brothers, man. And it's evident today that we really love our brothers, man. We really love our brothers, man, because we are doing the work. We are learning the languages. Hispanics are learning English for the sake of their brother, man.
Right.
Black people are learning Spanish for the sake of their brother. Who gives a damn about our oppressor in their language? But we learning our oppressor's language for the sake of our brother, man. We are digging on the internet. We are digging through the false doctrines and the false information that they're putting out there to our children, man. We're digging through those things to find the truth so that we can love our brothers properly, man.
Right.
You have to really want to love your brothers, man. That's how you know that we are brothers, because we're doing it, man. We're doing it, whether we know that we're doing it or not, we're doing it, man. It's natural for you to love your brother. Salakia, did I give you a scripture?
No.
Oh, Salakia, let me get Zechariah chapter 9, verse 13. We're really finding out if you really love your brother or not. Now in 2020, 2021, 2022, we are finding out if you really love your people, man. We're really finding out. Because you know what I'm saying, it is a very, like, they make it very hard for us to know our history, man. But for us to find these things out and pass these things down and come together, man, it's an act of love, man, because it's not easy. It's not easy, man. And it's like but you got that?
You said 9 and 17?
9 and 13.
9 and 13.
But
this is book.
But this is what we need to, like, this is what we're doing right now, and this is what we need to do, man. The solution, the conclusion of all of this, man, of knowing all of this history, man, all that, now that we understand that we went through the same things, we need to come together and love one another, man, because that's how we're going to get out of this condition, man. It's no use to have the knowledge and to have the information and then, you know what I'm saying, do nothing with it and then continue to, you know what I'm saying, do the same things, make the same mistakes that we've been doing for the past few centuries. It's time for us to do something different, do something that we've never tried, which is why Christ had to make a new commandment, that we love one another. As a matter of fact, no, we're not gonna get there right now. But Christ said that here I give you a new commandment, that ye love one another, man, and to love your brother like you love yourself, man, and treat your brother as you would want to be treated, man. Now there's nothing new about that, man, because that was a commandment from the beginning, man. But it's new to us because it's something we've never tried, man. But here in 2022, and especially here in the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana, we're doing that, man.
Right.
We're doing that. We're finally trying what's been in the Bible this entire time, to love your brother. Salakia, you got that, priest?
Come on. The book of Zechariah, chapter 9, verse 13.
Wait, let me see. You might have to go a verse above it.
Turn over the stronghold, eat present hope.
Let me get there with you. Salakia. Zechariah chapter 9, 13. Oh no, you too out. Start at 13.
Verse 13.
Uh-huh.
When I have bent Judah for me, fill the bowls with Ephraim,
Uh-huh.
and raise up thy sons, O Zion,
Right.
against thy sons, O Greece,
Right.
and make thee as the sword of a mighty man.
This is what we need to do right here, man. We need to come together and we need to become a resource for one another. Now, I know a lot of us, you know what I'm saying, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we show love our, you know what I'm saying, we like our guns. We like to, but I don't know a single weapon that is useful. Your firearm is not any use to you without a magazine full of ammo.
Right.
And your ammo sitting there in that magazine, it is no use to you without your firearm. Just like Read it from the top again.
Verse 13. When I have bent Judah for me.
Right. So when I have bent Judah, go ahead, read on.
Fill the bows with Ephraim.
With Ephraim. So your Hispanic brothers is going to be the arrow for your bow, man. And we have to be the bow for their arrow, man. Arrow is no use. A single arrow can only do so much damage by itself. But when you put that bow, when you put that arrow in that bow and create that tension, you can create. It's much more effective, man. When we are working together, man. You can create a lot of damage with a bow by itself, man. But it is more. We are more effective when we come together, man. And that is exactly what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans need to be doing.
Right.
And go ahead, read on.
And raise up thy sons.
So he's gonna raise up Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to love one another, man.
Right.
You're gonna be a shoulder to lean on. You're gonna be, you know what I'm saying, somebody that you can that your brother can rely on when he's down and out, man. You're gonna pick your brother up, man. You're gonna be a weapon for your brother, because brotherhood is a weapon, man.
Right.
Go ahead, read on.
Okay. Against thy sons, O Greece.
Against thy sons, O Greece. The Italians, man. Your oppressors, man. The oppressors who came over and took you from your land in the first place, who stole your land in the first place, man, who oppressed you in the first place, man. We're gonna raise up Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to come together against your oppressor. Go on.
And made thee as a sword of a mighty man.
He's gonna make you the sword of a mighty man, man. You're going to be what your love for your brother is going to be the weapon that gets you out of your captivity, man.
Right.
But you can't get out of this damn captivity by yourself, man.
Right.
There's gonna be far more casualties and far more destruction and bloodshed of your people if you try to go through this alone, man.
Right.
We have to love one another, man. We have to love one another and come together with your family, man. With the people who have something to do with you. With the people who have something to do with you, man. Because these other people, these other nations, they have nothing to do with Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man.
Right.
Salakia, go ahead.
This precept's so heavy, man. Cause like, okay, I'm just read it. When I had bent Judah for me, filled with the bows with Ephraim. So basically, this is talking about the 12 tribes, man.
Damn
we
right.
know Judah is the head of the southern tribes. You know what I'm saying? And you got Ephraim as the head of the northern tribes. So this basically said all together, man.
Damn right.
And it's so heavy, bro. It said to raise up thy sons. You know what I'm saying? Zion. So what we doing right now in ISUPK? We are raising up we raising up Jamaicans,
right.
Virgin Islands, Puerto
Right.
Ricans, Mexicans. Right. You know what I'm saying? Panamanians. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's 12 tribes, we're raising up North America, the niggas, and we raising South America, the Hispanic brother, man. We raising up Black Hispanic Americans, like my brother Hill been saying this whole class, man. And what we gonna go against? Thy sons of Greece, man. We gonna against the so-called white man of today, man. And how we gonna do that? By coming together, like this brother been saying, all class, man. And this so heavy, man. You know what I'm saying? We gonna sons of Zion. Black Hispanic Americans need to come together. You could be Jamaican, you could be Haitian, you could be, you know what I'm saying? If you fit in that 12 tribe short, you need to bring your behind to ISUPK, man.
Damn right.
So we can raise up sons of Zion against the sons of Greece, man. Because you can't do it out there by yourself, man.
Damn right.
Shalaki, my bad, please.
No, you good. Most High in Christ. The water for that, man, because he's exactly right. That's exactly what we need to be doing, man. You can't do this by yourself, man.
Right.
We see what it's like when we try to do it by ourselves, man. We see that it's not working, man. We see that it's not working, so we need to stop. You know what I'm saying? We need to stop beating the dead horse and trying to do the same things that we've been doing that hasn't worked for the past several decades, man, or several centuries.
Right.
And try, you know what I'm saying? Try this new commandment that Christ gave us, man, to love one another, man, because it's the one thing we haven't tried. It's the one thing we haven't tried. So, like, let me get Salakia. Let me get Jeremiah chapter 51. About Kashaf. verse 19. Like, the Most High has been trying to get blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to come together and love one another, gather ourselves together, because we are not desired. He's been trying to get us to do those things since the beginning of time. To come together, deal with one another, and to separate from our oppressor, so that we can rule over them. He's been trying to get us to do that since the beginning of time, man.
Right.
But it's the one thing that we haven't tried, man. It's the one thing that we haven't tried, which is why we have to keep on, you know what I'm saying? We have to keep on reiterating that, man. That's why we have brotherhood class every Tuesday, every single week, man.
Right.
Because we're gonna have to keep on drilling it into blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans' heads that we are one people, man, until we finally get it. It's like it. Go ahead, read that if you got it.
You said 51 and
19.
19. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 19. And a portion of Jacob is not like them. For he is the former of all things.
Right. So we are separate, man. We are separate from all these. We are not like them, man. Go ahead, read on.
And Israel is the rod of his inheritance.
Right. So the 12 tribes together are separate from all these other nations, man. And go ahead, read on.
And the Lord of hosts is his name.
And we together are the Lord's army, man. We are the family that the Most High chose, man.
Right.
To bear his reputation and to represent the Most High, man. We are the Most High's army, man. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 20. Thou art my battle axe.
There are what?
Thou art my battle axe.
And what else?
And weapons of war.
So us coming together, like we said in Zechariah chapter 9, that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans coming together is going to be the weapon that gets us out of this captivity in this hellish condition that we in, man. We can't do that. We can't get out of this condition without loving one another, man. And if we're not together, that weapon is useless, man. Go ahead, read on.
For with thee I will break in pieces the nation.
So with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, he will do what?
I'll break in pieces the nation.
So we're using blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You're gonna break in pieces the kingdom of your oppressor, the empire of America,
right?
The empire of Russia and the so-called Great Britain, right, and Germany and the Spaniards and all these different nations that had a hand. The so-called Africans. I gotta forget them. You're gonna break in pieces those people who we look up to, and we feel like that their rule and their power that they have in this world will never cease. Man, the Most High is going to use the brotherhood and the love that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have for one another to break them in pieces, man.
That's right.
Go ahead and read on.
And with thee will I destroy kingdoms.
So with thee, he's going to destroy America. With thee, he's going to destroy Russia and Great Britain,
right,
and Africa,
right,
and the Arabs. He's gonna destroy them, man. He's gonna use the love that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have for one another, right, to destroy these kingdoms, man. Just like Rome fell, just like Greece fell, right, and all these Babylon and Assyria, right, and all these so-called great nations fell before, who they felt would never fall, man. And he's going to do all of that with bringing blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans back together, man.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? There you have it, man. There you have it, man. We're all one people, man.
That's right.
We're all one people. We go through the same things, man. We suffer the same curses and the same pain. So we need to come together and love one another, man, so that we can go ahead and get out of this hell, man. We can no longer be separate, man. We've seen what it's like to be separate from one another and to be joined into our oppressor, man. Right. We know what that's like already. We've seen how terrible that is to be away from each other, man. Let's come together and end this, man. Let's just end it. Any questions in the chat?
Maybe you can see, cause I don't know, my phone, I don't know.
Okay, no sweat.
Fix that.
Let's see. Lock it.
How you get, I gotta ask you that class. How you get that page?
Okay, no sweat. Let me check YouTube. I don't see any questions in the chat. Well, with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to Precinct Officer Bonzayan for the security announcements. Get up out of here.
Alright. Get this real quick. This is the ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out in 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, on the Commander Junior Honda. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. In Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and in Malachi chapter 3, 8, verses 8 through 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'asharah. Tenth of every penny of any increase the Lord give you. Give to treasury department or teacher, priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. I got it. Okay, we have Purim. It's the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month, which would be Monday the 14th of February and Tuesday the 15th of February 2022. You can find it in Esther chapter 9 verses 20 through 31. Reminder for Akim and Akwat to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. And that concludes the ISUPK security announcements.
Okay. With that, I'd which means to stand. Sorry, face the east. And do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew and in the English. Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayim. Kodash. Hayah. Shemka. Yahweh. Malakuka. Taba'ah. Ratazaka. Hayah. Aisha. Ratazak. Kawa. Hayah. Lashamayim. Nathalanoa. Lakam. Call. Yawom. Wasalak Kabawafnawa. Kasalaknawa. Kabawathianawa. Wala'ah. Tabia'anawa. Banasawan. Abal. Hawashanawa. Mayan. Ra. Kaya. Laka. Amalakwa. Waha'Allah. Wahatapa'ara. La'ai walamyu. Aman. In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh. Thy kingdom come. That will be done. In earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. Alright, sorry. We're going to face the brothers, give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Men of Israel, Madu Shabbat, Madu, Barak, Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Barakatuh, Yajimatah. Sorry, face the sisters, courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Madu Shabbat, Madu, Barak, Yahweh, Shem Yahushua, Yajimatah. Dismiss.